Can a couple of old mountain climbers teach you and me some stuff about teaching, learning, and living in this crazy world? Oh, you betcha they can, colleague. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about Everest Statements, what they are, how they work, and why you've just got to have one. So what the heck are these Everest Statements? Well, why don't we just open up a little book that you should get for your whole secondary school? These 6 things, how to focus your teaching on the work that matters most. Let's go to chapter 1. Let's flip past this handsome fella, and let's just go ahead and start reading. This is my shortest explanation of Everest Statements. In May 1953, Edmund, Hillary, and Tenzing Norgay, pictured in figure 1-1 on the next page, faced a daunting task that no one had yet accomplished, ascending Mount Everest and living to tell the tale. Unlike climbers of Everest today, Hillary and Norgay did not have the benefit of charted territory. They faced the death zone, a place where the body is actively dying. They were climbing at an altitude nearly as high as the airplanes of their day flew. The risks were many, and the reward was glory. For 2 important reasons, the work that you and I try to do each year is actually harder than what those 2 men faced in 1953. Sure, there's little chance that a day in the classroom will end with frostbite on our noses or our frozen corpses buried by avalanche, but our job is still tougher. First of all, Norgay and Hillary's task was fairly simple to articulate, and ours is not. If you were to ask 100 random people who knew of Norgay and Hillary back in early 53, hey, what are these gentlemen trying to accomplish this year? Most answers would be identical. They're trying to climb Mount Everest. Duh. But if I were to poll 100 people in your life this year, asking them, hey, what's this teacher supposed to accomplish in her job this year? This guidance counselor, this principal, this instructional coach. Now I'd be shocked if there were even 2 identical answers, and I would not be surprised if there were some answers that seemed to describe an entirely different profession in a wholly other galaxy. Depending on whether the respondent was your administrator or one of your students or a community member or your state's governor or your school of education professor, I'd be in for a whirlwind of ideas and expectations, wouldn't I? There would be multiple full-time jobs represented in those 100 responses. This incoherence of purpose and its attendant avalanche of expectations is a more insurmountable obstacle than 1,000 Everests on top of one another. If this book, or any book, is going to help our teaching practice, then this mountain must be demolished. We can't ignore it. So let's do something crazy, shall we? Let's place the power of purpose setting in the hands of some people who may know a thing or two. You and me. The people on the ground doing the work alongside our students. Right now, before you do anything else, I'd like you to take half a minute and without mental editing or revision, answer something in writing. What, in a single sentence, is your Everest this school year? What do you hope your work will amount to? This, colleague, is the Everest exercise. And if you haven't done it yet, why are you not writing, colleague? Grab a pencil, start doing it. You're not seeking to be Shakespeare here. Toni Morrison level beauty is not required. You're just condensing your goals for the course or courses that you teach into a single statement. Now, I'll put mine on the screen here just to give you an example. I like to do this as a list. When I was an ELA teacher and first did this exercise, it didn't look like this. I had to carry my sentence around with me on an index card in my pocket. I'd look at it at least twice a day when I was putting my pants on in the morning, when I was taking them off at night, and I'd analyze it and I'd say, oh, I want to add a word there, put a word here. And I landed on this. In my class, we're all about becoming better thinkers, readers, writers, speakers, and people. This statement, if all it is just a poster on my wall, is still a heck of a lot better than a classroom with no such statement on the wall. Every class should have this, someplace prominent, where a student who's confused, gazing around the room, searching for anything that can tell them why the heck they're here, can land upon it and realize, aha, at least my teacher once knew what this course was for. But of course, I want you to do way more with this statement than just that. I want you to think on it over and over. I want you to contemplate it, to meditate on it, to use it as a filter through which you can take the massive demands of your curriculum and simplify them. I want you to use this sentence at the end of a day where everything went wrong, to look at it before you walk out the door dejected, and to ask yourself, did I, in today's failed lessons, attempt toward at least one of the things that are in my Everest statement? And if your answer is yes, you take your downcast gaze, shove it towards the air, and you walk out, shoulders back, head held high, because today you did your job. Your job is not to guarantee outcomes, it's to work towards the peak. Attempt the ascent. That is what each day's lesson is for. That's what each minute is entrusted to you for. And you can also use the statement to make your class clearer to your students, because I promise you that most of your students are confused about why the heck they're in an English class, a math class, a science class right now. What is this for? Why do we do this thing called school? Most kids are confused. And colleague, if we're not regularly telling them what our class is for, why it exists, what it all boils down to, you and I are partially to blame for that confusion. That confusion's on you. It's on me if I don't use an Everest statement again and again in my speech to students. So that's what an Everest statement is. That's why I think it's so important. And those are some ways to use it for yourself and for your communication with kids. Overall, it's meant to help us achieve clarity of purpose. From clarity of purpose, we can make wise decisions about what we're going to focus on with our work and what we're going to let go.